What's going on, everyone? This is Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. And Craig, Tuesday, November 3rd, we got huge news out of the U.S. DraftKings pricing came out for the Masters.
I couldn't imagine any bigger news than that.
After a global pandemic, we're finally here. It's November. We got the 2020 Masters. We've made it.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I don't know if we need to go in a whole lot more depth than that. Like, I'm super excited for this. It's more so than the U.S. Open, more so, I don't know. There's just something about Augusta.
It just feels right. I don't know. Something just feels right about it. It feels like golf is it's really back now when we gotta
just can't wait for the sultry tones of what is it, Nance that does this broadcast and
exactly.
Yeah.
So pricing just came out. DraftKings and FanDuel. We're going to give you an early pick, an early sleeper, and an early fade. We're going to be dropping Masters content all week, so make sure to subscribe and like to the video, and you'll be notified for everything.
Yeah, so we're not going to get too much into the course and how it may play differently, anything like that. We're just doing a first look at some of the DFS pricing and who we like.
Yeah. All right, first up, my pick. I'm going Rory McIlroy, 10,200 on DraftKings. He's fourth there. On FanDuel, he's actually more expensive, 11,900. He's second there. I think everybody knows the story with Rory at Augusta and the Masters. I mean, it's that missing piece for his career Grand Slam. It was almost the first one he ever had. He had that famous collapse on 10 almost a decade ago. But he still has a good track record at Augusta. I mean, 21st last year was his worst result in a while. He's been 5th, 7th, 10th, and 4th. And then people seem to have this idea that he's not playing well right now, but his last 5 tournaments, they're all top 21 or better. I mean, a couple of them were no cut events and we had a tour championship and that kind of thing, but top 21 and better. He's not completely off his game. It's still there. He still is very strong off the tee. There's other things that'll come around, but I think him being familiar with Augusta, I mean, I wrote down there, time to complete the Grand Slam. Maybe because there's no fans, maybe because it's November. It's a little bit different for him. He gets to be like, okay, I'm going to get it done this time.
Yeah, we talked about it. I've brought it up a couple of times now, but Cantlay after the Zozo, he was saying how he's been playing good for a while. He just would have like one round each tournament that has kept him from really contending. And that's how it has felt with Rory over the last little bit. He has played great. It's just been a matter of he'll kind of have boneheaded moments. And for Rory, he so quickly gets rid of those boneheaded moments and just goes on a dominating tear. And, it's not unlikely that we see that this week.
Yeah.
Okay, my first one here, Xander Schauffele. He is coming in at 9,800 6th on DraftKings and 11,500 6th on FanDuel. Honestly, we talk about him all the time. I love his game. Yeah. He only has 2 Masters starts so far. He's a younger guy. He is vaulted his way up from 50th, tied for 50th his first start, to second his second time around last year. And if there's anyone who seems well suited for this course and what it demands of you and making big putts and all of that, I do think it's Xander. He's been playing awesome of recent. Since the restart, he's got 13 starts, 12 times he's been in the top 25. 5 times he's been tied for 6th or better, and we've debated it a bit, but to me it feels like he has a win in there too, being the lowest person 72 hole scores at the Tour Championship.
For sure. Yeah.
And speaking of that, so you look at Xander, he has, I want to say, 4 official wins, a 5th with maybe an asterisk for me. But if you look at those fields, a lot of guys early on in their career, they kind of knock off a few weaker fields. And he did have one weak field at the Greenbrier, but all his other wins are strong fields where he's beating the other top players in the world. And to me, there's a difference between the guys that can, rack up maybe 5 to 10 wins over a PGA Tour career, but it's always in the lesser tournaments. And guys like Xander, where he's going to win a major, it's just a matter of when, not if. And last thing I'll get to. Okay. 13 major starts so far, 7 top 10s, 6 times he's been T6 or better. So he comes to play.
I feel like the thing with Augusta is it exposes your weakness. You have to be strong tee, approach, around the green for sure, and putting. And Xander's just one of those guys we always talk about. He's so high in all those. He's so well balanced.
It's not a course you can easily lean on one thing and be like, oh, my driving's so good, I'll get away with not having good approach game.
Or around the green. I might not be the best around the green, but I'll make it up otherwise. You can't really make it up. You need to be solid throughout for 4 days. Okay, so sleepers, usually we're under 7,500. We're going under 8,000 this time because there's a couple guys who stuck out with us. My sleeper, Justin Rose, 7,700 on DraftKings. He's 27th. On FanDuel, he's 9,700. He hasn't been playing well. I mean, I say down there, he was number one in the world less than 2 years ago.
It seems so shocking.
I know 2020 has felt like a decade, but I mean, less than 2 years ago, at the beginning of 2019, Justin Rose is our number one golfer in the world. He hasn't been playing well. Obviously, he's fallen off from that, but his best performance in the last 2 months was at the Zozo, the last tournament he played. He was tied 17th. Still not great, but he's priced 27th. I really don't think there's many guys under 75,000, under 8,000 that can go and win. But I think Justin Rose is one of those. He's been second here a couple times. He has great scoring here, great record. He had that showdown with Sergio in 2017. I mean, he was leading until a bogey on 17th, and then he kind of just fell apart on the playoff. But right afterwards, he was saying, this is the tournament I'm going to win one day. I feel really good here. That was only 2017. He's just 40 now. His best years, maybe his best of his best is behind him, but he's still, I mean, he's better than 27th in this field, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's the thing about Augusta is that you kind of get like a value add for certain people who have been there so many times. You know that even if they have a 9 holes where they're not hitting it the best, they know how to manage through that. And yes, it will expose you, but some people it'll expose a whole lot more if they don't know how to get around the course when they're not playing well. And so, maybe Justin Rose's win equity isn't what it was a couple of years ago when he was with Sergio, playing with Sergio in the playoff. But I do think that like the chances of him overperforming where they have him priced, to me, is higher than a lot of other guys. And sort of on that note, we did get typically we go deep on our sleepers in terms of pricing, so that if you do want to do like a stars and scrubs type thing, you can really go deep and find some value. We are still going to do those videos. Just in this one, we wanted to focus on guys that we do think have chances to win. And so for me, Matthew Fitzpatrick is a guy that stands out. He's priced at 7,600, 28th on DraftKings, 9,400, 29th on FanDuel. He has 2 good starts at the Masters, 21st in 2019, 38th in 2018. He's top 15 in 6 of 14 tournaments since the restart, so he's been playing well. To me, it's also just a value play. You look at his last 2 full seasons. 2020, he was 16th in strokes gained total. 2019, he was 23rd. Both of those seem like they're smaller numbers than his pricing at 28th. So, he is ranked 61st right now on the tour, but it's early season, it's volatile. His strokes gained number is close to what it typically is.
Some of those numbers will be guys playing one.
Yeah, they play well, and it's inflated once they play a bit more. The variance will decrease, and last thing, he's an elite putter. So last full season, he was second on the PGA Tour, almost gaining a stroke around. His career numbers. So this is going back. I want to say he's like 26, 7, 8, somewhere around there. But going back to 2014, 2015 kind of thing, he's gained almost a half stroke around. Those are like borderline top 10 numbers over that period of time, and like for people's careers over that time. It's like he's a crazy good putter, and to me, that's the type of guy you can get someone coming from this 20 to 30 range. If they get that hot putter that week, they can win. And that's what Matt Fitzpatrick does, I think. He gives you a bit of win equity down here.
I think that's exactly it. When I was looking at this price range, there's not many guys I think could go out and win. There's like your Roses, your Kuchers, your Westwood, those veterans. You think they can kind of sneak into a top 20, into a top 10, and you'd be pretty happy. But Matt Fitzpatrick, I mean, he could win this thing. He might be more volatile, and he could, I mean, T38, but I think he has a better shot than perhaps most of those guys to win.
Yeah. And speaking of guys that we have chances to win, but we don't necessarily like.
Okay, so my fade, Collin Morikawa, 9,500 on DraftKings. He's 9th on FanDuel, 11,000, again, 9th. It's a kind of an old equation with Augusta. Since 1936, only one player has won the Masters in the first attempt. I know Collin Morikawa is a major winner, and he's done it in a sense before, but this is going to be different. Augusta's a different beast.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about this season and kind of why he's fallen off a little bit, he ranks 242nd in strokes gained putting this season.
That's not
so he's almost
good.
He's almost at the very bottom of the PGA Tour, and this just isn't just one round. Like, he's played a couple times, and he's way down there. So big PGA championship win early in the summer. 6 tournaments since he's played. He has 3 missed cuts and only 1 top 10. And that top 10 one is in a field of 30 players. So he only finished in, I think, about the top 30%. I think he was 7th or 6th, depending on what format you want to look at. So he just hasn't been playing well. At 9th, you can't pick a rookie that's out of form right now. I think he's just a complete fade for me, even though one of the most important stats at Augusta is your approach, and he might be the best approach player on the planet. It's a fade for me for Morikawa.
Yeah, I think I had brought him up after the Zozo for my stock down. I don't remember if that's exactly right on the podcast, but regardless, his putting. So to me, it felt like because he won the PGA Championship, and I think he had won the Workday, just prior to that, it seemed like we stopped talking about the potential weakness of his putter. We just kind of were like, give him the stamp of approval. He got over it. But his putting since then has been worse than it was when we had those concerns, So the concerns haven't gone away. I think both of us love Morikawa as a player, and long term, the needle is pointing up. It's just a matter of this year at the Masters, I have huge question marks about it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Craig, who are you fading?
Okay, so me, Brooks Koepka, a guy with some definitely major pedigree. He's coming in at 9,700, 7th on DraftKings, 11,300, 7th on FanDuel. To me, and I get it, I understand how competitive he has been at, since he's really established himself as an elite player, how competitive he was at the Masters he's played since then. I want to say he's got tied for 2nd since becoming a major winner, and that's it. Is that...
Well, since his first major win. So he's collected 4 major titles and played in 1 Masters. It's interesting.
Yeah. So really, to me, he's only been in contention once since the COVID restart. That was a tie for 2nd at the St. Jude. And in his last 15 starts, he only has 2 top 10. So it's not even like he's not getting in contention, but he's kind of middling. He's just not played well a lot of the time. But the thing that's most concerning to me is he's been losing strokes off the tee. And if you go and you look at his history of strokes gained off the tee, back when he was winning major championships, every round he played, it was kind of like Rory. Even when Rory has a bad round, he's usually gaining strokes off the tee, and he's just it's elsewhere that he's losing them. So 2017 he won the 1 major, he was plus 0.6. 2018 he won 2, he was plus 0.85, and 2019 he was almost 0.6 again. So for him to be losing off the tee, that's a major edge for him. He needs to be gaining strokes off the tee to be winning majors. And this is one of the ones where he is playing this week. So, and he's coming back from an injury. So to me, it's a fade for me right now. If we go out and we see him hit the ball, I care less about his result at the Houston Open and more about what do we see from him off the tee? Do we see him really consistent and driving the ball well? Because that would potentially move him away from a fade.
Yeah, exactly. It's Wednesday before the Houston Open when we're filming this. I think he's the only one of our 6 that's in the field of the Houston Open. If he can turn things around, if he starts finding that fairway with his driver, I think that might change my mind, because, it was a tie for 2nd last year at the Masters, but I agree. He hasn't been getting strokes off the tee. He's been missing fairways. It's not there right now, but it's also Brooks, and he's kind of this mystery, and he just can turn it on like that. I feel like. He is. So I'll be a few people in the field, the Spieths maybe, Brooks. I'll be looking at them for Houston
Yeah,
for sure
I mean,
to see how
also
they're
I
playing.
think DJ and Fina, like the two top guys in the field this
Yeah,
week. I think there's going to be potentially major implications in terms of what to see from them. And you know, if
yeah,
you if you're one of these people that's like you're totally wrong on Brooks, I would go out there and put, you know, whatever the line is now, not necessarily DFS, but like the sportsbook line.
not going to get worse.
I would do it
Yeah,
now, because if Brooks is going to play
yeah,
well at the Masters, he's probably going to be striking the ball well this week, and that's only going to make his odds get
for
shorter.
sure. Yeah, I think that's a great point for sure. All right, so that's our picks, our sleepers, and our fade. Our first look at the Masters pricing, DraftKings and FanDuel coming up. We have tons of content coming up over the next week. Very soon, DFS model will be on our website, grandstandgolf.com. We're going to have a preview podcast dropping probably sometime over the weekend or before the weekend of the Houston Open. And then we're going to drop a couple feature videos, something we haven't done before that's kind of a deeper look into the Masters and that kind of thing. And then Masters week, kind of similar to our normal weeks, we're going to have our picks. We're going to have our sleepers. We're going to look at guys that are priced definitely lower than 7,500 for you there. And then we're going to have our live DFS Twitch show where we go through the whole field, talk about everybody in detail, and really just kind of go through everything there.
I feel like that one's going to stretch out because we love that too, because that's when you can come and you can ask questions and we can just BS about anything.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
You know, just real quick on top of that, we are still doing showdown videos for the Houston Open. So if, you know, if you're playing this week, check out the content on that end too.
Yeah, appreciate it. Good luck,
Thanks a lot. See you
everybody.
guys.